I'm very thankful to the Trivandrum branch for this opportunity that's been given to me to present what I know on bank audits. This whole pack that I've tried to design and deliver today is very experiential. It's what I have gone through attempting to do bank audits over the last 7-8 times, and I've tried to put together everything I heard in multiple lectures that I've attended. So it's in some sense sort of here for you. I think this whole landscape on bank branch audits has changed this year. I think with the advent of this new Companies Act, which is a very regressive and punitive legislation as far as the auditors are concerned, I think there's a shadow of this act that's hitting the bank branch audits as well. So I think in addition to doing a good job this year, what is very, very important is how we manage our professional risk better. So today, the entire theme of my presentation will be on how to manage audit risk and an auditor's risk in doing a branch audit. Now we hope that with what I am talking about, which is how to do and how to mitigate risk and minimize risk, plus what Mr. Suresh speaks on advances, if you're able to take a few key takeaways, then 80% of your branch audit risk is sort of managed. Now, we live in a very, very complex environment, and corruption and fraud is the order of the day. So I'd like to start my presentation with a very, very small anecdote. In fact, the whole thing came up in this context of section 143(12) of the Companies Act. So somebody said, auditor has to report fraud, auditor has to do this, auditor has to do that. In fact, the tragedy about the Companies Act is that it looks at every management as a scamster and every auditor as an abettor. That's the only reason why, it's for example, restricted services, penalties on auditors. Everything is changing. Now, when we were talking about corruption, I read this little thing, corruption is supposed to be very, very old. It's as old as the Vedic age itself. So apparently in the Vedic age, well, they had very little to do. So every day, the Devas and the Asuras used to fight. So Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday they would fight. Sunday was the rest day. And then, obviously we had the nectar of the gods, so it was sort of permitted. And then every Monday morning, the fixtures would get announced. So this week's fixture was Shiva versus the Asuras. So Indra was getting very bugged because Shiva was becoming very, very popular. So he said this battle Shiva has to lose because he's just becoming very senior. So he calls a little termite and he says, termite, what I want you to do is when Shiva is stringing his bow, I want you to go and bite off the bow because then he will not win this. So the termite thinks about it for a very long time and says, you're also a Deva, he's also a Deva. You're asking me to do this. And then the termite thought about it for some time and said, they had this argument. The termite said, I won't do it. So Indra said, you have to do it. And then the termite asks a question, which is supposed to be the origin of corruption. The termite apparently in Sanskrit, that's what the Rig Veda says, rears up full size and says, Ka Dakshina. That means, what will you give me? So that leaves Indra even more perplexed. He says, I've never heard of this return favor, what is this? So he says, okay, now that you've asked for it, he says, wherever there is water and wherever there is wood on this earth, you will be there. Which is why you have this termite problem everywhere where you have damp wood. And additionally, it says, that is not enough, tell me something more. He says, okay, you will be immortal. Your tribe can never be vanquished. Which is why whenever you take one bunch of termites out of your house, it goes to your neighbor's house and it comes back. So for a problem which is as old as mankind itself, which is corruption, to hold an auditor responsible for fraud reporting, to expect an auditor to do humongous wonders in a bank audit in a 4-day time frame, is quite a daunting task for us. And this whole package is designed to actually compress this to deliver what you can best deliver in 4 days. Now I've structured my program as follows. I'll do a quick overview on why I think the landscape has changed. All of it will focus on just one theme. What is my risk as an auditor? But this year, let's take out this love of profession, love of bank. Let's sort of think for ourselves and see how best can I deliver value to your ultimate client, which I think in this context is the nation. And you know, we had one audit program in another town when we had a manager of a bank. He came and said, please see and put your NPS. So I said, yes sir, we will definitely see and we will definitely put your NPA. So one thing is to be sympathetic to a client, but please remember that your client sympathy is actually only bringing down the client and not moving them up anywhere, and there's no reason why you should compromise actually. In this, we'll go through bank branch audit, what I think is the key aspects. The second part of my presentation will focus on core banking itself. What is CBS? What is the concept of a database? And why? What are the key features of CBS? And despite having CBS, everybody says, oh, I have core banking. Why do I need audit? You definitely need audit because there is core banking. Core banking exposes the entire system to a far higher level of risk. Previously, one transaction will go wrong, which is called as an error. Today in CBS, if there is a configuration error, it is a mass error. It's a massacre. That's what they call it. So that's the second part where I will focus on core banking itself. The third is I'll try and I have an integrated work paper document that I've built. Now, balance sheet, bank audit is a balance sheet audit. So you see assets, interest on assets, which is your advances, your liabilities and your interest on liabilities. That's 80% of your audit. So I've said, if I have to do a top-down approach to audit, can I document it in 40 to 50 pages? So I've made a template which I'll quickly walk you through. It's about 70% complete. You can add whatever you want to add. For example, I may not have done crop loans, but if you have crop loans here, do add them. I've tried to take what is significantly there. And the fourth part of my presentation, I will try, and these we will do before lunch. And in the fourth part of my presentation, I would like to show you how you use Excel to do a bank audit. There are only 8 files that you need to take from the bank, and 80% of your bank audit gets done. As you all know, the focus of a bank audit is only NPAs. And today, I'm sure, you know, as far as you're concerned, you don't have to get into the details of how I'm doing it. But once as a principal, you're able to understand what I'm doing, and you ask your article assistant, most of them would be able to do the second part. And I'm told Mr. Padmanabhan had also done an Excel hands-on training. So if you feel after this you want to go back to a session, I'm sure the chairman can organize for this session. So broadly, this is it. We go through, then the bank audit advances is what Mr. Suresh had done. And I'd leave the files behind for you to do it on a do-it-yourself mode. And if there's any member here who's willing to, whom I need to sit with for 1 hour extra to teach whatever I have done, I can do that. The only one word of sort of comfort is that, see, between a good Excel user and a not so good Excel user, there's only one difference. It's the speed. Other than that, you can be absolutely comfortable trying to use Excel this year because it will cut on your time and cut on your risk as well. As we all know, the basic, is there anybody in this audience to whom bank audit is completely new, never done before? Nobody? So the basic objective of a bank branch audit is to provide an opinion on the true and fair status of financial statements as at the balance sheet date. So what do? We do auditor's report on financial statements, which is your usual format as provided by the bank. 2 is your long form audit report. 3 is your tax audit report. 4 is your standard reports and certificates. Now let's take a small stop here. What is the single largest factor that enhances a bank branch audit risk? The single largest factor is that I read in a paper that 55,000 crores of NPAs are going to get released this year. So that 55,000, something could be sitting, you know, in your branch. And today, please don't think that it's only one branch. What value do I add? It's actually a cascading effect. It starts at the lower level and keeps mounting up. And I think that's one thing that you need to store at the back of your mind, that your NPAs this year are high. The second risk in this whole process of banking of a nationalized bank is social banking. Today as a bank manager, I can't say I will not lend. They say, no, you have to lend. It's not like a private bank. my interest rates are restricted. I cannot charge higher rates of interest. So here your banker has a very unique pressure. He has to lend to the unbankable also in certain cases, and he has to collect. But again, today, we should not be part of that problem. That is the bank manager's problem, that's the bank's problem, that's the environment's problem. Our focus will be to identify asset impairment. That's the key focus. And to ensure that all income and expenses are correctly accounted. The third thing that's risky about a bank branch audit is, unlike a client, where you have what they call CAKE. CAKE stands for Cumulative Audit Knowledge. So today, you go to this particular client, you say, yeah, his accountant is good, so I know all this will be good, but these aspects may not be so good. You have no cumulative audit knowledge in a bank branch. You go there and you're expected to just jump out of the box and deliver from day 2, day 3. And one key interesting question that's come up in all my bank audit sessions, I've done this in about 8 branches till now. All of us keep asking one question. Okay, we're getting paid for it. Why don't they allow us to do an interim in September? It will be very helpful. So this bank branch allotment can happen in July or August. We do an interim in September, and then we can do the final closure in March, and we are willing to work. So these are the 3 key risks. And 4th risk in a bank branch audit is, I have no understanding or exposure to what has happened in the bank in the last 1 year. So in that sense, whether internal controls have been operating effectively, I don't know. But while you have all these risks on the one side, you have certain advantages in a bank branch on the other side. One is that it's a highly automated processing environment. So if one transaction is happening correctly, chances are all the transactions will happen correctly. The second advantage you have in a bank branch audit is that you have a very effective monitoring system. Your bank will have a concurrent audit, it has a risk-based internal audit, especially if you're auditing a branch which has RBIA, it's very good. You may have had an RBI inspection. So you have a lot of work that somebody, in certain cases, even better than you. See, the bank's inspection staff are actually very good. They really know what to look for. So you have a very good start point. That's your second advantage. The third advantage that we always keep missing out on is this. See, today you are appointed as an auditor for 2014-15. So please be very clear in what you check. For transactions which have happened this year, you check in detail. But if it's an old loan, I will only check whether payments are coming properly and whether my security exists. There's no point going and checking disbursement now.